Hal Jordan and John Stewart are not the same, in more ways than you guys may think. See, coming out early 2026, we're going to get Lanterns. It's set in the DCU, it'll be 8 episodes on HBO Max, and we have Kyle Chandler starring as Hal Jordan and Aaron Pierre starring as John Stewart. Now, we got a first look of them walking alongside each other a couple weeks ago. A pretty cool first look. Nothing great, but I'm still excited. I've been hearing a lot of people complain about, oh, I want to see the suits. I want to see them become the Green Lantern. And yes, I want to see that. And I'm worried that we won't get the fantastical Green Lantern show that we all want. But what I'm also worried about is that the show will not showcase how vastly different the personalities of both John Stewart and Hal Jordan are. See, Hal Jordan is more of a loose cannon. He is led by his impulses, and he's very cocky. He's a fighter pilot, and he's the type of guy that, say he saw an opportunity to do something great, he would just go for it. He would not ask for permission. He would not go by the order of how things usually are. Whereas John Stewart, he is led by his orderly tendencies. John Stewart's whole life has been kind of set in stone. He went to the Marines, he fought alongside his fellow Marine Corps soldiers, and he was a leader. He went by all of the protocols, and then he joined the Green Lantern Corps. During his life, he has always been methodical, calculating. But for John Stewart in the comics, he sometimes rejects his destiny. He rejects his life being set in stone because he wants to create his own destiny. And when he gets into this mindset, he actually acts more impulsively. So for example, in Cosmic Odyssey, when he decided to try to save the planet of Xanshi alone, instead of having Martian Manhunter accompany him, this led to Xanshi, or Zanshi, I think it's Xanshi, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. It led to the planet of Xanshi being destroyed, and John Stewart learning that he shouldn't go into situations alone. He shouldn't try to act impulsively. Whereas acting impulsively works for Hal Jordan a lot of times, it does not work for John Stewart. John Stewart needs to stick by his orderly tendencies. He needs to stick by the methodical nature he's had his whole life. So yeah, John Stewart, he's at his worst when he acts impulsively, where Hal Jordan is at his worst when he lets grief and guilt take over him. For example, in the 90s, when Coast City was destroyed, and Hal Jordan, he let his grief take control of him, and this combined with his reckless, impulsive nature led to him becoming one of the most powerful villains in the DC universe. Like, he almost destroyed all of the DC universe, and he destroyed the Green Lantern Corps. Like Emerald Twilight, that storyline showed how powerful Hal Jordan could be if he became a villain, if he let his impulsive nature take control. And another example of Hal Jordan's impulsive nature taking control and it being a bad thing was in the Rage of the Red Lantern storyline. During Jeff Johns' Green Lantern run, we saw Hal Jordan go to the planets of the Red Lanterns, yes, Malt, and there he found Sinestro. He freed Sinestro. This was after the Sinestro Corps War, and Sinestro and Hal Jordan were forced to work alongside each other, and we see Sinestro kill Lara. Lara was this Green Lantern who died, and she was basically abandoned, but she actually didn't die, and she became a Red Lantern. And we see her try to ask for help from Hal Jordan, but before Hal Jordan can help her out, Sinestro kills her. And Hal Jordan, at this point, he's like, I'm done with you, Sinestro. I was forced to work alongside you. You killed so many people. And we see Hal Jordan act impulsively, and you see him almost kill Sinestro. And at this point, the Red Lantern, the Lantern Ring that is filled with rage, takes over Hal Jordan, and we see Hal Jordan become a Red Lantern. It was such an awesome moment. Just Atrocitus saying, Hal Jordan is mine. Like, dude, when I read that, I got so hyped. And yeah, Hal Jordan becoming a Red Lantern, for only an issue in the main DC continuity, it was still really bad. Like, him being a Red Lantern, he's very, like, reckless. We got to see his full, raw power, and this was not good for the rest of the Lanterns. But good news, he became a Green Lantern again. His willpower overcame the Red Lantern energy with the help of the Blue Lanterns, and we actually saw Hal Jordan become a Red Lantern in the Injustice universe. In that universe, we saw Hal Jordan first become a Yellow Lantern, kill Guy Gardner, and eventually later, Hal Jordan realized that all the things he was doing was wrong. He shouldn't be on Superman's side. Remember, Injustice is the universe where Superman is a dictator, and Hal Jordan was a part of his regime before he changed, and the way to prove to the Green Lanterns that he was actually good again was him becoming a Red Lantern, him basically sacrificing himself and letting the guilt of him killing Guy Gardner, killing so many people, take over him, and that rage taking over his heart. But he used that rage, that raw power from the Red Lantern ring, to actually save the Green Lanterns from incoming threats. So yeah, Hal Jordan, his impulsive nature is not at its best when it's led by grief and guilt. And actually, going back to John Stewart, when he lets grief and guilt take over him, this holds him back. He can't be the great leader that he usually is. So yeah, we talked about the faults of Hal Jordan and John Stewart's personalities, but let's talk about the greatness of their personalities. Let's start with Hal Jordan. See, Hal Jordan, when he lets that impulsive nature take over, for example, at the end of Jeff Johns' Green Lantern Rebirth in issue number 6, when Hal Jordan is going up against Parallax, and Parallax literally tells him, lay down and die. You're weak. You're scared. Give up now. Give up. Give up, damn you. And Hal Jordan responds, I don't know how. Bro, that line, I love that. He doesn't know how to give up. Like, that is so dope, man. Like, that's some motivation right there. Now, another cool moment for Hal Jordan is in DC The New Frontier when he goes up against the Center and he thinks the rest is a breeze because I'm not just Hal Jordan anymore. I'm an intergalactic cop, a Green Lantern. The son of a bitch wanted to see the stars, so I sent him away. Dude, you see how Hal Jordan commits to what he's doing. Now, another cool moment is in the Dark Knight's Metal saga when we had the tie-in comic in Hal Jordan the Green Lanterns. We had Hal Jordan go up against the Dawnbreaker, a combination of Batman and Green Lantern, an evil Batman, and Hal Jordan, when he goes up against him, he tells him, you stepped up to the mic with your emo crap. I came to rock. Dude, that is such a great line. Like, dude, just Hal Jordan committing to that impulsive nature, that raw power. And one more cool moment for Hal Jordan in Justice number 12, you know, the series that's drawn by the great Alex Ross. We see Hal Jordan trying to stop these nuclear missiles, and at some point during this issue, you hear Hal Jordan's Green Lantern ring tell him to recharge. They're losing power, and he shouldn't keep going. And Hal Jordan, you know, his response is, continue. He just keeps going. Like, instead of going by the order of how things usually are, when you hear your Green Lantern ring tell you to recharge and, you know, go back, you usually, you know, go by what it says because you don't want to end up in space and die, because if the charge actually runs out, he could be in space, fall from space, and yeah, that's it for Hal Jordan. But Hal Jordan, he hoped that the Green Lantern Corps would be up in space and be there for him when he finished taking down the nuclear missiles. And guess what? They were there for him. If he did not make a reckless decision to neglect what the Green Lantern ring was saying, then those missiles would have hit Earth and many people would have died. So yeah, Hal Jordan, he's awesome when he lets his raw power and impulsive, reckless nature take over in a good way, not by guilt and grief. John Stewart, though, when he accepts his destiny, accepts that he's led by the orderly tendencies of his life, he is great, man. And dude, one of my favorite moments for John Stewart in Jeff Johns' Green Lantern run during the Blackest Night event is when John Stewart is on a planet taken over by basically zombies, Black Lanterns, and you see John Stewart, he's fighting back. It's just him. Like, the Green Lantern Corps should have sent an army, but they just sent John Stewart. Now, was this a bad decision? Not at all, because John Stewart, he makes it through. And during this issue, we see flashbacks of his time in the Marines, how many people died, and how he couldn't save people. But what he says here, he says, "You're throwing my own words against me, but I'm not wrong. I didn't kill anyone. I fell to save them. after you, after Zenshi, after the things I've seen and done in the name of war on Earth and in space, I should already know I can't save everyone. It's about time I accepted that. It's time to move on and move out. Bro, Jon Stewart, he made a construct of all of his fellow Marine soldiers. Bro, when I read this for the first time, I got so hyped. Like, the image itself is so dope. Just Jon Stewart standing ready and the Marine construct army behind him, ready to fight. Like, that is so dope, man. Another cool moment, in the recent Green Lantern War Journal comic, we see Jon Stewart go to his mother, and his mother is basically dying, and his mother tells him to let her go. The odds are too insurmountable. And Jon Stewart, he doesn't let her go. He actually saves her. He uses his calculating, methodical, and leadership nature to surpass insurmountable odds, and it was so good, man. If you have Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart in this Lantern show, and if Hal Jordan commits to his impulsive nature and Jon Stewart commits to his methodical, calculating nature, both of them combined will be unstoppable. And yeah, I really hope they show that dynamic in the show, because it'll be so awesome, man. But yeah, DC Nation, that's going to wrap up the video. Tell me down below what your favorite moments are for Jon Stewart and Hal Jordan. But both of them, when they actually play into their strengths, they become great. For life, play into your strengths. Let your strengths lead you to greatness. And yeah, I'm gonna leave it off on that. Thanks for watching, and peace out.